10 ideas to practice in daily life. What are the principles of Stoicism which can help you live with more control, serenity, and depth? Here is a selection of 10 key principles of Stoicism which seem to me to be particularly useful to live better, more intensely, and humanly. 1. Accept what is beyond your control. I've never been hindered in the exercise of my will or constrained to do anything against my will. And how could that be possible? I have submitted my impulses to God. It is His will that I should have a fever. That is my will too. It is His will that I should get something. This is what I want too. He doesn't want that, nor do I. Epictetus, Discourses 4, 189. There are things that are completely up to us, others that are not completely up to us. What depends on us are the desires, the judgments, that is to say, the thoughts that go through our mind and of which we are aware. What does not depend on us is everything else, the weather, getting sick, how others react, our reputation, etc. This distinction made by Epictetus should lead us to focus our attention on what we think and what we do, i.e. on our intentions and our efforts. Everything else is the result of a form of natural will, of the law of cause and effect, things over which we have no absolute control. Our mind must be aligned with this reality of things, which is independent of our will. This allows us to live serenely and without frustration. 2. Act with the right intention. When people sit by the bedsides of their sick friends, we honor their motives. But when people do this for the purpose of attaining a legacy, they are like vultures waiting for carrion. The same act may be either shameful or honorable. Purpose and the manner make all the difference. Seneca, Letter 95 to Lucilius, 43. Stoicism follows virtue ethic. An action is good if the intention behind it is good. Supporting a sick friend is a good action if you truly care about his or her health. If you come to look good in order to get an inheritance, that is a bad, dishonest, and selfish action. It is therefore important to be aware of your motives and reasons for acting and to adjust them so that they follow virtue. Number 3. Meditate on death. We must make ready for death before we make ready for life. Seneca, Letter 61 to Lucilius, 4. Meditation on death, memento mori, is a very important exercise for the Stoics. Thinking regularly about our own death and the death of others allows us to fear this event less, to better appreciate the present moment. Fact of being alive, but also to gain freedom. For the Stoics, death is indeed an open door that we can take if life becomes too difficult, in case of serious, irreversible problems that we consider insurmountable. This choice is up to each person, but must always result from a reasonable judgment and not from passion. Being afraid of this open door makes us less free. Knowing that we can push it open at any time makes us more serene. 4. Live here and now, for he only is anxious about the future, to whom the present is unprofitable. Seneca, Letter 101 to Lucilius, 9. Most of our troubles come from our imagination. We suffer from the past, we regret. We suffer from the future, we fear. But what is happening in the present, here and now? Nothing is happening. Everything happens in our head. To live here and now is to pay full attention to oneself, to our thoughts, to our feelings. It is not a matter of completely ignoring the past or the future, but of having a peaceful relationship with them, by realizing that we are always living in the present and that what happens in our head in relation to the past or the future is under our control. 5. Play the roles assigned by nature. There is, besides a particular end, and a general end. First of all, I must act as a human being. What does that involve? That one shouldn't act like a sheep, even if one is gentle in one's behavior, and one shouldn't act injuriously like a wild beast. Particular end relates to each person's specific occupation and moral choice. Epictetus, Discourses 3, 23, 4. For the Stoics, we have roles to play. Being aware of these roles helps us to better navigate through life. Emperor Marcus Aurelius, for example, tells himself that life gave him the role of emperor, which he did not really want. Yet he embraced his mission to embody it as best he could. In this excerpt, Epictetus reminds us that we all have to fulfill our role as human beings. That is, to be reasonable and social, but also our more particular role, the one that follows our particular disposition. Some people are naturally inclined towards the basic sciences, others towards literature, others towards sports, etc. What is needed is to embody this particular role while trying to be a good human being, courageous, just, thoughtful, moderate. One must be an emperor philosopher, a good emperor, a sportsman philosopher, a good sportsman, a scientist philosopher, a good scientist. 6. Be useful to others. What does not benefit the hive is no benefit to the bee. Marcus Aurelius, Meditations 6:54. Our own interests go through the interests of others. To understand this is to understand the virtue of justice. Everything I do must be useful, in one way or another, to others. The most useful action is to practice philosophy, that is, to improve one's character in order to become a wise human being who inspires and helps others. As this quote from Marcus Aurelius shows, Stoicism is far from being a selfish philosophy of life. 7. Anticipate difficulty. Be sure to foresee whatever can be foreseen by planning. Observe and avoid long before it happens anything that is likely to do you harm. Seneca, Letter 98 to Lucilius, 7. Negative visualization is a Stoic exercise that consists in contemplating a difficulty or a drama to come to remove the effect of surprise, to become aware of our capacity to absorb the event, and to meditate on the fact that it is never an absolute evil in itself. Only vice is evil in Stoicism. This allows us to depend less on external events. 8. Think for yourself. What then? Shall I not follow in the footsteps of my predecessors? I shall indeed use the old road, but if I find one that makes a shorter cut and is smoother to travel, I shall open the new road. Men who have made these discoveries before us are not our masters, but our guides. Seneca, Letter 33 to Lucilius, 11. Stoicism does not tell us what to do directly. It gives us the keys to thinking for ourselves from certain values, principles, and method. We must therefore be able to question ourselves, to know why we think what we think, and not blindly follow the dominant opinions. 9. Contemplate nature. The consideration and contemplation of nature are like the natural food of souls and minds. They straighten us out, elevate us. They make us look down on human things. The thought of beings above and of heavenly things makes us despise our own for their pettiness and smallness. Cicero, Academica, XLI. Contemplating nature brings a serene joy, an oceanic feeling. It is a way for the soul to see the events of human life with more distance and to feel a call to something greater than oneself. In Stoicism, to be absorbed by a natural fact is also to experience God, for God is the active principle that sets all things in motion. 10. Love your fate. I fell ill when you, God, wished it. So did others too, but I did so willingly. I suffered poverty because you wished it. I rejoiced in it. Epictetus, Discourses 3, 5-9. To accept events that do not depend on us is to be a philosopher. To accept with joy the events that do not depend on us is to be wise. Epictetus explains that our reason can rejoice in its ability to align itself with things as they are. Such an attitude requires much practice and discipline. It requires an inner understanding that what happens to us is necessary, inevitable, in accordance with nature, and that we can accept this with a form of joy. The resulting joy is beyond measure. In such a state of mind, every obstacle feeds our inner fire, autonomous, powerful, and unperturbed. If you apply these 10 key principles of Stoicism, your life will become more intense, human, and happy.